Okay, hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming to class. Thank you for being part of our community. We've got big changes coming up and we'll probably visit about them next week, but the Genius is going to be in the App Store soon. And we're going to talk about how that's going to be. The biggest thing for you, the current user of the Genius, to know about is that you'll be able to reinstall it from the App Store, which I know a lot of people will appreciate. Okay, we can't go live to YouTube at the moment because there's some very interesting changes that I'm picking up on my my Zoom, unfortunately. Um, anyway, it will all be fine. Okay, we got a really important lecture today, and we're going to talk all about some things related to blood pressure. If my slide will cooperate here, let's try that again. Before we do that, this will be a great lecture. Let me give you, please, if you have not subscribed to my Substack, please do that because I have a lot of great information coming out. It will be, everybody, Sharon, hi, it will be available to everybody it's already in the Google Play Store. So the Genius actually already in the Google Play Store, but it'll be available now in the App Store. So you'll be able to download it. Please subscribe to my Substack. There's a free version of my Substack. A lot of important articles that I'm publishing on there, and I'm going to be publishing at least once a week, and then also a special article each week for my paid subscribers. Oops. But there is a lot of free information. This article right here is completely free, and it's a good adjunct to what we're talking about today. All right. Many of you know I am a naturopathic doctor. So as a naturopathic doctor, what do I know? I went to a 4-year medical college, postgraduate college, had to take board exams, learned all about physical exams, microbiology, pathology, physiology, and all about natural therapeutics like homeopathy, herbal medicine, nutrition, things like that. So my whole goal of my life has been to empower people to know how to learn how they can heal themselves. And so the reason that I teach the Genius is that people have been able to utilize it in a very wonderful way, even though we're careful about how we talk about it. People use it all the time, let me just move some things around here, to change things in their lives. And even though we can say the Genius helps the body to heal itself. It reminds the body how to be well. And so my interest has always been this level of self-empowerment, that by my teaching you about the Genius or teaching you about principles of natural health, and I can help you to heal yourself and to heal your family. That is extremely important to me. And it's important to me to tell the truth. So I like to share with you, I like to hear the truth. I find the most compelling people that I have learned from have had some element of, wow, they're teaching the truth. And so what I really want to do in future lectures and courses that I'm bringing to you is to tell you the truth. Okay, I want to tell you the truth about what medications do, what the medical industry does to people. I want you to understand, because most people, and even my colleagues and a lot of doctors, really don't understand what drugs are doing and don't understand the hidden side effects behind the drugs. Also, what our food is doing to us. And even when we get into and we think that we're healthy, there's a layer even beneath that, because we are facing so much programming that we have to break through. It could be programming that's meant to harm us. And we think it's not happening in the food industry. Well, the food industry wouldn't intentionally try to harm us, right? We're not live to YouTube, so I'm going to kind of really freewheel it here a bit. Maybe we'll just have to go to put this on Rumble. But if vaccinations have things that harm people, why wouldn't the food industry also be sort of kind of triggered to maybe harm people? So let's say it's intentional, not intentional, we don't know. But there are a lot of implications of even the people that we learn from on YouTube and we think are health gurus. They're also telling us information that is provably injurious to people. And so there's a lot to unwrap. Like, it takes a while to get beneath the surface and really find out what the truth is. So that is why I'm bringing you this information that after years and years, decades really, of trying to unravel this information, I'm trying to bring it to you in the best form that I can bring it to you. And I feel that if you use this information combined in your Genius Biofeedback practice, you'll really be able to change your life, change your family's life, I believe prevent a lot of suffering. And unknown. People are injuring themselves and killing themselves a little bit on a daily basis, and they have no idea. I didn't know as a naturopath. There are a lot of things that I didn't know even going through 4 years of naturopathic college because it wasn't taught really properly. And if you don't know it, you will harm yourself daily. And I find that most people really just want to be told the truth. And maybe it's something you won't change your life today, but at least you'll know it, you'll be thinking about it. So when I bring you these programs, I'm bringing you what I consider is really important information that I feel that will really help you to understand. So let's talk about this. So for you as a biofeedback practitioner, you can take the blood pressure libraries, you can take the heart libraries that we have produced, and they're available at geniusbiofeedback.com. We still have the July 4th. We're holding that over. We're going to do a drawing soon. We are going to give away the AAA or Remedy plate, or we're going to do one of three prizes. You can win one of three prizes. You can win the core box, you can win the wand, or you can win the triple Remedy plate. We're going to do that. Not today because we're still running this, but we're going to do it soon. We'll announce the winners. We did that last time for Memorial Day. We still have 40% off libraries. We have 40% off courses, including the potato rice pasta course. We have the Wealth as a Frequency course that you can take. So there's a lot. You can just go to geniusbiofeedback.com and see what we're doing there. But the point is that you can take this knowledge and you can also implement it into the work that you're doing in your Genius. So this isn't totally separate from that, even though it's a combination. It's really a combination of biofeedback and lifestyle. So have somebody ever said to you when you went to your doctor's office, hey, you have high blood pressure? I find that for people over the age of 40 or the age of 50, it's one thing that the doctors are going to hound them about. I mean, if your blood pressure is a little bit high over what they consider to be the standards, they're just going to hound you and hound you and hound you until you submit, and you're going to take one of their medications. So I really want to talk to you about the implication of those medications. And it may not be for you, but it might be for a spouse, it might be for a family member, it might be for a parent, something that this could really be helpful. So what is high blood pressure and what do you need to know about it? Why are we concerned when you're totally go bananas when we hear that your blood pressure is high? Oh my goodness, this is a medical emergency. We need to immediately do something about it. What's going on here? The thing that you need to know is that before, I think the 1940s, between the 1940s and the 1960s is when this really got implemented, and then it just expanded from there. There really were no interventional hypertension medications until that time. And so it's important to remember that. There was a gentleman that was from Durham, North Carolina, that taught at the university there, which was Dr. Kempner. And Dr. Kempner would treat people for hypertension with foods called the rice diet. And he got people off of their he got people lower their and normalize their blood pressure through food, through simple rice and vegetables and fruits. But now, today, because they have found that they can regulate it through medication, and does medication really solve the issue? We're going to answer that in just a few moments. But blood pressure medications are a multi-billion-dollar industry. I can tell you from my personal family experience that once you get on one of these medications, you're going to find that you're never going to be cycled off of one. And usually the amount of medication, the number of different medications will increase. So there are diuretics, ACE inhibitors, angiotensin II receptor blockers, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, and they'll just keep loading you up because your vessels may be deteriorating for reasons that we're going to talk about, but instead of dealing with the root cause, what we're going to do is we're going to keep masking over the problem by forcing the blood pressure to get lower. So that's what's really happening. And let's look at some of the physiology behind it. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we got here. All right, so yeah, so check out the Substack. And oh, thank you very much for bringing that up. When you're going through the 4th of July, if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com and you go to the 4th of July specials, it's automatic. So we wanted to remove the coupon, needing to have a coupon, very easy. When you hit the checkout button, all the discounts are going to be applied. And those in the Library Discount Club, you can still use your monthly coupon on top of the discounts that are presented to you at checkout. So that was a good question. Thank you for asking, reminding me to say that. All right. The truth is that most people can dramatically shift their blood pressure so that they never need a medication. And if they're on a medication, they could get off it in a matter of weeks, if not days. I don't know who has ever heard this from their doctor, unless the doctor is really trained in lifestyle, lifestyle practice that will help you to change this. But it's really wrong. So if you understand, I find the things that are really necessary for human beings to get this is you really need to understand the physiology, which who goes to their doctor's office really understands the physiology of how their vessels work, how their circulatory system works. And once you understand the mechanisms of the physiology, you need to understand why blood pressure happens in the first place. You have to know that. That should be a class that is when they take your blood pressure, right? Then immediately they should send you to the classroom next door to train you, teach you all about what is going on and why you have this in the first place. But they really don't do that, and I think you all know why. So if you understood the underlying mechanisms, you would move away from the foods that are damaging the vessels every day. So these are the obstacles why I think people don't do that, right? They don't understand what causes high blood pressure in the first place. And then extensive programming from a lifetime tells you, hey, you got to get your protein, you got to get your protein, got to get your protein. And when they tell you you got to get your protein, it means you're going to consume foods that are very high in fat, much richer and higher in fat than your vessels were ever designed to tolerate. So the time you're a young kid doing the food pyramid, you're damaging your vessels. And you may be walking around thinking, damage, smammage, I'm fine. Why should I listen to this? But most people have silent damage in their vessels, and some people are just worse, some people are better, some people are symptomatic, some people are not symptomatic. But the vast majority of people have damage because the food that most people are consuming, just by its nature, because of the high fat, damages the vessels each and every day. So doctors, just don't have any training in human nutrition. If they might have 2 hours of nutrition classes in their whole medical training, most of their medical training has to be focused on pharmaceuticals and then the interactions of pharmaceuticals. So when you go to see a doctor and a doctor says, oh, your blood pressure is high, they're going to say, take the salt out of your diet. Other than that, this is just a product of aging. You're just getting older, or it might be your genetics, right? They're really not going to offer any other explanation. And once you're prescribed a hypertensive medication, it's very unlikely you'll ever be cycled off the medication. For one thing, they've never given you a good solution. They just gave you something that's masking the problem and helping you to overcome the symptom without getting to the root cause. On top of that, the crazy thing is that some of the medications make everything worse. Like, for example, a diuretic causes you to lose a lot of minerals. Well, minerals like magnesium help you to better, and potassium help you to better regulate blood pressure. And so if they cause you to urinate those out, they could actually come back and your blood pressure is worse. And so you have this decreasing or increasing problem. So they're going to prescribe you more medications. Crazy how that ends up working. So your body, you have to just go back to the beginning and just say, like, why does blood pressure go high in the first place? What makes it go up, and why are we worried about this issue when it's high? Well, if you run or lift weights or dance or, anything, your blood pressure is going to go up because you need to get more blood to that place where you're doing all the activity. You need to get more oxygen into your system. So your blood pressure is going to elevate. the elevation at that moment, even if it's really high, like this woman who's lifting the weights, like it's going to have to be pretty high for, it's going to have to get high for her to lift the weights, or if it was even heavier, even much higher. Like it's never a problem. Your blood pressure could get really, really high as you're doing maybe Olympic level activity, and your vessels will be fine. It's really that when it stays high for a sustained amount of time, and that could be problematic, but it is really just a signal to you to know that there's damage in the vessels that has to be rectified, right? So healthy vessels don't break. Your vessels are able to take a very high level of increase because you're a human being. You're going to be active. That's the nature, you know, the more active you are, the more you condition your circulatory system. So these, you know, bursts of activity that you do for an hour a day, they're really, really good, and get your blood pressure revved up. That's fantastic. The more you do that in intervals, the more cardiovascular adjusted you're going to be. You're going to be in better, you're going to be conditioned, right? You have to exercise that heart. The heart is a muscle as well. So it's not the pressure itself, it's the chronically elevated blood pressure. So the elevated and sustained blood vessels, or pressure in the vessels, is a sign that there's disease within the vessels. And I know it sounds very simplistic, but I'm going to lay it on you to the best of my understanding, is that there is an explanation for this, and it's that over time, we're never meant to put this much fat into our cardiovascular circulatory system, and just the lining of the vessels just can't take it. We're just not designed for this level of fat. So we find ourselves on a high fat diet, even when we think we're eating healthy food. You might come to me and you might say, well, you know, Ariel, I don't eat any junk. I eat chicken and I eat vegetables, and then I have this wonderful stir fry and it's sauteed in olive oil, or the next day I have some, you know, some avocado, or I love to eat, you know, nut butters and things like that. But all of those things combined create a level of fat which is too rich and too high for your vessels to take. And so the objective result is that the vessels become damaged. And as they become damaged, the blood pressure in the system elevates. I'm going to come back to this in a second, but I just want to show this picture, this is essentially what's happening. Is your body creates this plaque as a result to the chronic inflammation of being overwhelmed by the high-fat diet. And by the way, when you eat something that's, you know, kind of high fat, your blood sticks together. So the blood becomes stickier as well, and it's hard to get it through the vessels. But what builds up over time is atherosclerosis, a narrowing of the vessels. I'm sure you've all heard of this. And so when you're trying to get the same amount of fluid through a smaller vessel, then the pressure goes up. This is called peripheral resistance. And you've also heard salt. Well, there is some measure of truth to the salt. If you eat a lot of salt, then your body tries to match all of that salt. It tries to keep what's called osmolarity the same. And that osmolarity means the dilution of the salt has to stay the same in the body. So we are going to retain more water within our system. And more water, or more fluid going through the same diameter of a blood vessel, will elevate the blood pressure. So you could get some result by eating less salt or eating less processed foods with all that salt, but it's actually, salt gets blamed a lot, where it's really the richer diet that is going to make the difference. And you can see this reflexively by changing your food for 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, and you will see the blood pressure numbers just plummet. Right? So if you told you have high blood pressure, it's a sign that you have changes in your vessels that need to be addressed. You know, you can try naturopathic interventions like magnesium, hawthornberry, arjuna, or cactus. These are herbs that can help the heart to beat better and can help to improve the circulation overall. But the most important thing is to correct the health in the vessels, and this can best be accomplished by a lower fat whole food plan. Okay, now alternatively, if you just say, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to take my medicine that my doctor gave to me, you know, you go in and they say your blood pressure is too high. Oh my God, my blood pressure is too high. Why do I need to know about that? Well, Mrs. Smith or Miss Smith, you could actually get a stroke, or you could get a Heart attack if you don't lower this. We need to lower this right now. We need to get on it. We're going to make it super easy for you. We're going to give you this pill. We're going to send you to fill the prescription, start taking it, and everything is going to be wonderful. Well, what happens when you give a drug, right, and you override the natural mechanisms of your body? Because the body in all of its wisdom will raise blood pressure when it's needed and will lower it when all of that oxygen, glucose, circulation, when all of it is not needed. So what if you force it to go low with a medication? That's the thing that we all should be asking, right? So the interesting thing is that for people who are over 75, they actually need a higher pressure in their system. And often it's because there is some atherosclerosis and they need that pressure, that level of pressure to get blood to the brain. So they found that sort of like 150 over 80 was actually necessary to get this blood pressure, the adequate amount of oxygen perfusion to the brain. So it's really just to show you that forcing the blood pressure to go lower could be very dangerous, can have other unforeseen side effects, unforeseen effects, right? So they did this low pressure and the risk of dementia in older individuals, so people over the age of 75. This was published in the Journal of Neurology in 2003, and you can find the reference online. The conclusion of this study was that blood pressure is too low to be, and is associated, this blood pressure that they forced to go down to somebody like an 18-year-old's blood pressure was too low and they had a higher risk of dementia. So in plain language, if you force blood pressure to go too low in someone who might have narrowing of the vessels, anybody over the age of 75 probably does because they ate this type of diet for their whole life, then you may have a scenario where they're not having sufficient perfusion of oxygen and nutrition in the brain, which leads to risk of dementia. So, that's something just really important to know. It's probably safer for them not to take any medication and to run the risk of the stroke or heart attack versus taking the medication. Now, one of the most commonly prescribed drugs that you probably hear about if you go to see a doctor and the doctor says your blood pressure is too high is called a calcium channel blocker. Now, let's pause for a moment and think about the strangest phenomenon, which is most people, when they go to their doctor's office, they get nervous. They're nervous about the exam. They're intimidated about talking to the doctor. So guess what happens to their blood pressure during that office visit? It naturally goes up. When you're talking to the doctor, talking to the nurse, you had to go through traffic, you had to wait in the waiting room, you had to wait in the second little waiting room. You're nervous, you're thinking about this, you're afraid they're going to tell you something awful, right? Isn't that also always the hidden, fear when you go to see the doctor? They're going to find something, they're going to discover something that you didn't know about. So you're terrified, you're afraid, you're nervous, you have anxiety. Most people do. And so when they take the blood pressure, it's artificially elevated. And they have a name for that. It's called white coat hypertension. And so when you should never listen to that doctor say you need a prescription based on what they're taking in the office. What you would want to do is go home, get a relatively high quality blood pressure cuff, off of Amazon. So don't get the $20 one, get the, $60 one that's much, better quality. You could look at the reviews and so forth. You want to take your blood pressure at home over the course of a week. And then you send those numbers to your doctor. Don't do it in the office. That doesn't make any sense. But the most commonly prescribed ones are called calcium channel blockers, or they're one of the most commonly prescribed. And so this calcium, when it floods into the system, will cause your arteries to constrict and the pressure in the heart to go up. So when it's prescribed, it forces the blood pressure to go down. So nothing could go wrong with that, right? Blocking a natural function of the body, the calcium flooding into your system when it's needed, nothing could go wrong with that, right? So as these channels are functioning, the blood pressure will go up and the arteries will contract. So if you block them, the blood pressure will go down and the arteries will not contract. They'll vasodilate, which allows more circulation to go through. Well, it turns out that if you take these calcium channel blockers over a long period of time, which most people will, that these may cause changes to the brain, which can be shown on MRI. It's actually shrinking the brain. So you had a problem with high blood pressure. You weren't told the actual solution that would solve the problem, and then you were given a drug that would artificially solve the problem, but they also didn't tell you all the other side effects or implications of taking that drug. Within 5 years of taking the drug, changes can be seen on MRI imaging that show the brain shrinking away from the skull. There's been shown loss of decision-making abilities, reflexes, memory, emotional control. How many people, if we ask like a group of 100 people, how many people are on these drugs? Like you get a whole handful of people that would say, yeah, I've been on this drug for 10 years. I've been on this drug for 15 years. And then the most amazing thing is that these calcium channel blockers only move the needle a tiny little bit. So they move it maybe 0.01 millimeters of mercury. So they cause a tiny decrease in the blood pressure. Okay? If you change your diet, you change your food, you could just normalize the blood pressure and never need the pills. But nobody's ever told this. That's really the problem. Okay, so calcium channel blockers also work at the level of the cell membrane. Your beautiful cells, right? You have billions of cells throughout your body, and every cell will receive nutrition. And when it's done receiving the nutrition, like glucose, it will actually have some metabolic waste, the waste products, and those will be excreted through the cell membrane. So a healthy cell membrane is called a phospholipid bilayer. This wrapping around your cell has to be in extremely good health. So it only takes in what is needed, and then it properly excretes what is not needed. And so when your cell membrane, we never want the cell membrane to be disrupted or perturbed or compromised in any way. But guess what? Taking calcium channel blockers could change that wonderful cell membrane health. Okay, it changes the functioning of the calcium channel in the cell membrane over time. So this drug causes the pores in the cell to stop admitting the calcium, right? It's possible that over time this affects the health of the cell membrane. In fact, it's been suggested that over time the membrane gates and the channels are destroyed. Okay, and I know that's cut off a little bit at the bottom, but what would be the result of affecting the cell membrane? So this could actually be a risk factor for cancer over time. So not only is it not making a big difference, is it causing the brain to shrink and possibly leading to dementia, it's actually could increase the risk of developing a cancer over time. Now, is that something that you would ever knowingly sign up for? No, most people wouldn't, but most people are never, informed about these side effects. They're really important to know. So we do also have a library, which is our blood pressure series that takes you through different steps. So for most people who come here, they might want to know about the physiology, but a lot of you want to know about the biofeedback. So if anybody has a heart issue or just like some frequencies or blood pressure that would like to be worked on, please volunteer by putting your date of birth into the chat, and I'll do a session on you in just a moment. We do have libraries just for blood pressure. They're called the blood pressure disturbance harmonization libraries. And what's really cool is that you could just use each one of these over a series of time. They cover different aspects of the cardiovascular system. And so as a biofeedback practitioner, you're a director of energy, and you can direct the energy in certain ways. So we have libraries that help you to direct the energy in different areas. So on this particular one, you could do it over a series of 10 weeks for your clients, but that includes nutrition, opening the vessels, working on the kidneys. The kidneys are a big regulator of blood pressure, detoxing heavy metals. There is some research that shows that exposure to heavy metals can be related to elevated blood pressure. So that is another thing to consider, although the diet will make the biggest difference. But if you're exposed to a lot of heavy metals, this could be affecting your kidneys. And since your kidneys regulate the fluids in your body, this could also cause elevated blood pressure. So then we also have emotions. Of course, emotions, if you're stressed out all the time. So stress will cause you to produce different hormones in the body. that will, like adrenaline, right, or it's called epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, these can all also contribute to the, constant elevation of blood pressure. And of course, the health of the heart itself is related to, but this is of course related to the vessel health. All right, so would anybody like to volunteer, even if they don't want the blood pressure piece, to have some frequencies sent their way? If my blood pressure is naturally on the low side and I'm not on medication of any kind, is the low pressure a risk, still a risk for dementia? Not really, Dalen. The standards, which we can actually talk about, go back and talk about the standards. They have been lowering the standards over a series of years, and it's very suspect. I think they're lowering the pressure too low. But on the other hand, I think that really healthy people who are eating a healthy diet may have these low normal levels. But if you are not, feeling dizzy, passing out, you really don't have to worry about it. It's when they override the natural regulatory systems of the body that we have a problem. So you don't really have to worry about that. Okay. Well, Lisa, why don't we work on you today? We can hear from you and connect with you. I love that. And okay. Yes, all courses. So there was a question. I just got back from being out of town. I missed a lot of classes. And so all the courses are currently, except for the wealth course, right? Because we just gave that one, but all the other courses are 40% off. So yes, they're still 40% off. All right, so Lisa, let's go with you in just a moment here. So just get ready for that and make sure you've got your camera and microphone aligned. So let's see what we've got here. So 65% of the heart cells are nerve cells, and they're identical to those in the brain. This is related to the library that is the blood pressure. We have two blood pressure libraries. This is the one that has several different parts to it. All right, so let's go ahead and look at those. So the heart is actually an endocrine gland, and so your emotions will be affected by how you're feeling within your heart, right? It has innate intelligence, and it's connected to our neurotransmitters. And so how the health of the heart is going to affect, obviously, the whole body. Now, within the heart, within the blood pressure libraries, we have a nutrition section. And in the nutrition section, we do have hawthorn berry, right, as a frequency. I love hawthorn berry as an herb, even though I think it's secondary to lifestyle changes. It still is important. And hawthorn berry is, you see all that red color, makes you think of the heart. And so the plant spirit medicine aspect of it, there's a wonderful plant spirit, like for people who have had heartache. I think hawthorn berry is a wonderful herb. You can also make it as a tea, but it literally helps the heart to beat more efficiently. Now, you wouldn't take it all the time, but you could take it medicinally, and it can really, really help. And it has been used to help the heart to beat more efficiently, and therefore it can help to lower blood pressure. Okay, so it increases the contractility of the heart's ability to beat, and then it does improve coronary blood flow. You can also get Wise Woman Herbals is a wonderful herbal company. So they have a solid extract, and you would just take a little bit of the solid extract every day, and you may notice that your blood pressure will decrease. But you should still try to solve the underlying issue, which is not the hawthorn berry deficiency, it's the food. All right, and then also magnesium, pretty good signs that taking magnesium can help to lower blood pressure, but still want to deal with the underlying issue. All right, so let's just look at a couple of other things. If you have any issues with sleep or you want to work on hypertension, you can use magnesium. And I particularly recommend magnesium taurate. Magnesium taurate, the magnesium helps the taurine to go right into the cells. And so it's a pretty effective way to, and actually it's the taurine that helps the magnesium to get into the cells. It's very effective for getting magnesium into the cells, and very good for the nervous system. Another type of supplement that I've recommended over the years, and these are in this library, that's why I'm mentioning them, is one called Magnalivers, although there's no end to the mispronunciation of the supplements, also been called Magnalivers and all types of things over the years. But Magnalivers, what these do, they're little packets that have magnesium taurate and glutathione and a little bit of licorice and really, not licorice, glutathione, magnesium, and one other constituent I can't think of at this time, but it really, really is wonderful, especially for people who have issues with sleep or trying to overcome hypertension. Yeah, there we go. Not licorice. A little bit of taurine and a little bit of glutathione. There we go. All right. So also coenzyme Q10. That's another one to take for any heart issues that you're working on. One thing of note, had to get a sip of water. One thing of note is that if you're taking a cholesterol lowering medication, that's what we'll talk about in the future, is that that does deplete coenzyme Q10. So these are all different things that are in the library, and I'm not going to spend too much time on them. Let me just see if there's anything else that we should mention. L-arginine. So this is another one where L-arginine will turn into nitric oxide. But a better way to do this would be to take the L-arginine temporarily in order to lower the blood pressure to be safe, then change the food in order to make more permanent changes to the vessel. And green leafy vegetables, interestingly enough, when you eat kale or collards, over time, those foods, whatever's in the greens, helps the vessels to heal. So it will revitalize the vessels and help them to better utilize nitric oxide. All right. And then we have a really cool library that helps the vessels to open energetically with frequencies. So this is about blood pressure process number 2. Is vessels open? If you look at this library, it works on the plaque. It has some great herbs in it. And let's just go through this. Cactus is what I mentioned before. Cactus is a diuretic. Cactus helps with mitral valve insufficiency, and it's a wonderful traditional naturopathic herbal for the heart. All right, I just want to go through a few more of the types. So then also this blood pressure library also goes through the kidneys. So for kidney wellness and fluid optimization. And so you would work on kidneys because the kidneys regulate fluid. If you have excess fluid in your system, it means your blood pressure will go up because you have more peripheral resistance within the vessels. You need more pressure to push that greater amount of fluid through the body. All right, now let's go ahead and we're going to work with the genius in just a moment. So let's talk to Lisa and find out how she's doing here. We'll bring you up as a presenter or panelist here, and then we'll get the genius up here and running. So we'll take any questions that you have. Do you have any questions about the genius itself? Is there anything that you want to know? Be happy to talk with you about it. We've got the genius warming up. You can hear that underneath. So Lisa, how are you? Catch up with us and tell us a little bit about what's going on. Now your microphone is still muted, so let's go ahead and unmute it. It might be a little bit of a delay, so we'll ask to unmute there. All right, Lisa, how are you today?
Doing really well. Coming to you from Hawaii. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. So tell us a little bit, I know you just moved there. Tell us about how things are going there.
Well, I'm enjoying starting my practice out here in Hawaii. I feel like the people in Hawaii, because of their connectiveness to nature, understand quantum frequency healing a little more quickly than maybe those who are not. What do you think about that?
I think that's entirely possible. What kinds of conversations are you having with people there?
Excellent conversations. I think the Kilauea volcano erupted about a week or so ago, and the energetics from the volcano. I think the people of Hawaii are very tuned into the land because of her energetics. And
Right.
I think that speaks to meeting me halfway with the work that I do. Thank you for the knowledge you've bestowed upon me to let me do my thing. It's been wonderful.
Oh, no, you're doing amazing things, and we're so happy to have you as part of our practitioner group. I'm so excited to hear where you take things in Hawaii. It'll be really, really wonderful. So is there anything else you want to share with us about your practice?
Yeah, I'm really grateful to what I have been learning through the Genius and working with different clients. I think watching the emotional connection come to the consciousness of each person so that they can really choose a different path of emotions and really rectify the source of the disease. That's been beautiful.
Fantastic. I think that that is amazing. Like I've always said, the genius is like a truth teller. When you present it to the person, it's like not something that you discovered, but hey, I discovered this on my biofeedback device here. And then you say to them, it lands so much better with them and they really experience the truth of it.
What I enjoy telling people is I just direct the energy. You're the one that told me what to do.
Yeah.
And what's funny is in the conversation, they really do know that they know. And that's the beauty and the power of our work. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's so wonderful. Well, I can't wait to hear all the things that you will discover and learn in Hawaii. I think that was such a courageous, that was a big move. You moved from California to Hawaii, right?
And I used the synergistics to support the timing of my move. It was scary and it was hard, but I've landed and I think I'm going to do well here.
I'm sure you're
It-
going to
but
do well. I can't wait to witness your journey and transformation there. And of course, just so amazing to be on the land there. It's very exciting.
Frequency healing is the medicine of the future. It's fun to be on the front end of it and watch it grow.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything you'd like me to focus on for you today?
No, I do have a tendency to have lower blood pressure, get faint sometimes from the lowness of the blood pressure. So, and anything you want to show me today, I would be grateful to learn.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Well, I'll let you. Actually, I need you to do to record the voice. I can't let you sit back yet. Let's go ahead and record your voice. I'll start recording it in three, two, one. I'm recording.
A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I-O-U. Sometimes why? A-E-I-O-U. 15 seconds,
Perfect.
still going.
Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, that's it. That's great. Okay, awesome. All right, we're gonna get that taken care of. Now I just need to move the camera around a little bit, and don't go away yet because we still need you as part of our. Um, what we need to do here is, can I get you back on camera for a second?
Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am. I forgot about that part. Duh.
Oh, don't, no, no, don't worry about that at all. So let me just make sure that I've got this correctly here. And then what we do is we go next. I know it looks like it's upside down, but just hang on for 1 second here. And when we take it, it's going to be right side up. So give me a moment. We get here and we go to take it, take the picture, and then we're going to get you.
I
No.
have a odd question, if I may
Yeah.
ask, Ariel.
Oh, yeah, please do. Yeah, well, I'm going over
When
this.
it comes to taking the photograph of our clients, I'm very cognizant to make sure there isn't a pet in the picture or a plant. Does that matter
Oh, yeah, let me
energetically?
just
Does
let
that?
me just let me just stop you there and get you to smile for the camera. Okay, that's good enough. And then we're just going to switch it around, switch it around. Now, for anybody who it has a pet, they're it's always in their field anyway. Um, their animal is always in their field, so it's not going to make too much of a difference. But I will tell you from experience, what I've done is I've done a lot of the trade shows where you go and people are obviously in the background and you're trying to take somebody's picture. And I think it is good to get just that person's picture or just the picture of the person without their pets if you can. But I don't think it's going to matter that much, is what I'm trying to say. I think that the genius has a lot of intelligence. And also about the trade shows, when you're getting their voice, you can have a lot of other people talking in the background. But I've still found that just the microphone talking in and getting the voice has really reflected who they are, really accurately without any of that background noise really interfering. So those are my thoughts on that. And we're going to let, of course, Lisa just sit back and enjoy. And we're going to look at her scan now, looking at her aura. She does such amazing work, and just so fun to get to work with people in our community. All right, so let's see what we've got here. Some people think that edema is excess fluid in the body, and doctors often prescribe diuretics. So excess fluid in the body is medically called edema. Wow, Lisa, look at your aura. Isn't that incredible? This is exactly the plane that I would have expected Lisa to be working from. That is exactly the aura I would have expected to see from you. That's amazing. So obviously, very much in that higher consciousness, in that higher realm. It looks absolutely amazing. And maybe working on a little bit of first chakra, just getting grounded in Hawaii. So we'll be able to look more at this in just a little bit. All right, so let's go to our custom libraries and do a quick scan here. So the thing about edema is you want to ask, why is that excess fluid in the body? If there's too much fluid in the body, why are you giving a diuretic? So there's lots of implications of giving a diuretic, medical diuretic over time. Like there's lots of implications. As I said, you could urinate out the minerals because of the forced diuresis. You're going to lose water, but you're also going to lose minerals because that's how it works in the body, right? And certain diuretics, they are called potassium sparing diuretics because when they first started to use the diuretics, right, people would lose a lot of potassium from their body, and that could be dangerous. So when we're thinking about why somebody's holding on to so much fluid, it could be the excess salt, it could be the changes in the vessels, it could be the kidneys. But if somebody's vessels aren't working correctly and we force them to release that fluid from the body, we could do a lot of damage. Now in the interim, we could use at least herbal diuretics like dandelion or burdock. So when we use dandelion, and we're going to use that as a diuretic, which is going to be more dandelion leaf versus dandelion root. So the dandelion leaf is going to have other constituents in there, right, that are in the plant that at least could be helpful. So we have to be very, very careful when we say, well, they have edema, we need to give a diuretic. We really want to get to the root cause of what caused the body to retain the water in the first place. All right, so in Progressive Insights, please explain the meaning of high red and low green. That's a really good question. So let's see. We've got some core belief systems, skin healing. Let's look at just for fun, let's look at some of the blood pressure ones and see what we've got here. So let's see, blood pressure minerals. All right, so it's saying, actually the ones I want to look at are these ones. The ones we just talked about. Nutrition focus. All right, so let's include some of these and include the low blues. And she doesn't really have a blood pressure issue per se. She's having more low blood pressure, but I don't know about the fainting, and that could be something different. That would be related more to adrenals, than anything else. And so it could be just, the stress of moving or the stress in one's life. And so there isn't really too much that you have to do for lower blood pressure. Lower blood pressure is going to be better. It's going to be healthier. And you're going to have lower blood pressure when you have a conditioned system. As you exercise, the heart becomes more efficient. So it circulates the fluids more efficiently. Everything is going to get better. The elimination of metabolic waste in the body through the lymphatics, through the kidneys. Everything is better when you're conditioning it, when you're moving, when you're mobile. You're really just, everything is going to work better. It's when the body is stasis, when the body is stagnant, that problems really arise. Let's have some fun looking, because she's not really dealing with blood pressure. Let's have some fun like looking at the root cause. So what is the root cause of the issue? Cell phone EMFs, enzyme deficiency, something going on with the frontal sinus. Now these are just energetic. They don't have to be, in real life. These are energetic. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do the reds and the blues. Let's see what's down at the bottom here. Chronic kidney infection. It could be an unknown, like there may not be a frank kidney infection, but there might be some, stress affecting the kidneys. Temporomandibular joint, past emotional trauma, progesterone deficiency. Frontal sinus, the frontal sinus comes up again. That's really interesting. Here it is, it's saying a viral infection. The other one said a fungal infection. So that's kind of fascinating. The other ones that I like to utilize are the body repair codes. So let's look at those. The right knee joint. Arterial plaque easily clears from all the vessels and circulation is now restored to optimal flow. Collagen improved. The thyroid now heals. The right shoulder, a postural correction. A large intestine, working on the lungs, the stomach acid. I now am experiencing complete healing of the body, mind, and spirit. Let's get some affirmations into this one, right? So let's go to breakthrough to success and let's look at the affirmations. These are, I think, kind of up the alley for Lisa. So getting more into sort of what will be really relevant for her. And let's see what we've got here. Is there anything else? Okay. I am one with fearlessness as it allows me to live the life I've most wanted for myself. I am courageous and free. I am 100% ready to embrace the fullness of life and freedom on every level. I am now connected with my inner knowing on every level, and I allow a brilliant force of creativity to come through. Those sound like you, Lisa. They sound like they're really perfect for you. And then in this one, I would include the flower essences, right? You always want to get that into each and every one of your sessions that you're doing. And then we'll get to this question in Progressive Insights. So now we'll go to Progressive Insights, and it's going to prioritize everything into high, medium, and low. Now, in the rest of the program, when we see highs and lows, we think of those as reactive or significant items. But the exception is in Progressive Insights. So in Progressive Insights, it's a little bit different. The high highs are the true highs, and the low lows are the true lows. So this truly is a lower priority down here than the items up here, which is why I'm always looking at the high items. So it's really saying something about stomach acid, still saying EMFs. So getting into that, salty water and grounding is going to be, really important. All right, impatiens, scleranthus, olive leaf for viruses. So maybe that's what's going on in the frontal sinus. You need some olive leaf to basically boost the immune system. I'm 100% ready to embrace the fullness of life and freedom on every level of the conscious and the subconscious. I'm completely ready to succeed. And a lot of flower essences, collard greens. I am now connected with my inner knowing on every level, and I allow a brilliant force of creativity to come through. I am now one with the most happy life that cosmic law will allow for me at this time. Well, going to Hawaii and taking that deep dive seems like you are ready for that. Seems like it rings really, really true. All right, so Lisa, what are your thoughts about some of the things that are coming up here?
As long as I've been doing this now, I still find every session astonishing. Everything you presented hits perfectly today, and I'm grateful.
It's really fun. It's every person that you work with, this becomes such a wonderful meditation, witnessing that person and just seeing what, percolates up. It's so, fun to work with your clients.
And the feedback you give me today helps me assess what I've done in the last 24 hours that have created these things. And what I find the most valuable is our ability to take ownership of our consciousness, of our health. It's profound. And I find with clients, sometimes people really don't want to be better. There's a value in complaining about the problem, maybe. And I've learned to spot that quickly. So I don't really attract those kinds of clients anymore. It's beautiful.
And interesting when you kind of get that. It's interesting that your practice shifts because the people that, you really want to attract the people that you'll have the most impact with, and you want your time to be really well spent. At least that's what I find. So
I
are you
concur.
taking new clients, Lisa?
I am. I've, funny you say I need to be grounded. I live in a treehouse now. And I just started doing workshops. My first one sold out, and I've been picking up quantum frequency clients from that. So, I
Yeah,
work
that's great.
very through.
When you do a workshop, what's your workshop about?
Well, I found frequency healing through the music that I make. I play the hong drum, I play the harp, I play the native flute, I teach yoga. So coming through that lens of experiencing frequency and sound and watching people release trauma was a big clue. And this technology just gives me pinpoint, ridiculous specificity. It's fantastic. I
It's
want it all.
So if somebody wants to be your client or come to one of your workshops, how do they get in touch with you or learn more about what you're doing?
I have a Telegram channel called Healing Arts Collaboratory. That's the only social media I do. I operate very word of mouth. I'm comfortable with the email connection at first.
Yeah, well, why don't you put your Telegram channel into the chat so people can get in touch with you?
I will. Thank you.
All right, Lisa, thank you for all that you do. Big, big blessings, big, big hugs. I appreciate it so much.
Back at you. I appreciate your tenacity and your stick with itness and your quality consistency.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's wonderful. It's really, really so great. We have the best people in our community and absolutely so nice to connect with people. So look for Lisa to post her Telegram channel and join in on her Telegram channel and find out more about what she's doing. She's always putting out, just amazing kind of waves of love and goodness and positivity. So chicory came up, and then we'll just sort of sum everything up. Chicory is used when your mind is kind of moving away from feeling sorry for yourself, which is not something you do very often. So really embracing the world in a really positive way. And chicory opens the doorway to your real home. Wow, I bet Hawaii is your real true home. So that's so, so exciting. All right, so let's go ahead. Do remember that we still have the sale going on, and also a reminder to check out my Substack from this week. If you're not already subscribed, go to arielpolicano.substack.com. But do remember that we still have our 4th of July sale is still going on, so you can check that out as well. Let's see if we can actually get to the website. Okay, so you can check out, there's 40% off all of the libraries, the courses, and also there's 20% off the terahertz remedy plates and wristbands. So you can check those out as well. We also have bonuses. When you go over like $100, we have a bonus. And we also have a bonus for anybody, which is our vitamin D mastermind. So you can check that out as well at geniusbiofeedback.com. We'll do that until the end of the week, so you have plenty of time. I know people are returning from their visits, returning from trips, summer vacations, going to the lake, going to the ocean. Don't you just love summer and everything that it can bring? All of the fun summer memories. So let's see what this looks like here. Okay, thank you so much. So check out Lisa's Healing Arts collaboratory. Collaboratory, I like what you're doing with the words there. Okay, in
Together we
synergy.
know more.
What's that?
Together we know more. Together we know more.
Yeah, together we know more. Team collaboration. Wow, that's an interesting ending, Aura. Let's hide the avatar too. All of that purple moving in, and then the green maybe working on healing your heart, in a very more metaphysical way, as you get grounded into your current work, getting real grounded into yourself, probably grounding from the heart. So that's a really interesting aura as well. Let me show the avatar again. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Very, very well done. Val has asked here, as sort of this final question here, she's asked, in synergistics, I put in different diets. I don't know why I first read it as cities. I put in different diets. Is it wise to go with the one with the most circles? I think you have to just be kind of like, let's go to synergistics for a minute just to look at it. So we find this in the extra modules, which is somewhere in here. Let's see, it's getting hard to find it. The synergistics here. So synergistics is to find your compatibility with something, but you have to remember that the words are being interpreted as archetype encoding. So a lot of words, just be careful, whether it's 100%, I don't know, maybe make your statements kind of simple, I guess. And then you have to just, use common sense. So if your statement was, you know, ice cream every day is the best diet for me, maybe part of yourself does agree with that because the ice cream would make you so happy, maybe it would override the health effects of, your happiness. So anyway, just use common sense. But if we put something in here like, chicory, flower essence, and then we begin the analysis, then how much the circles fill up will tell us about how compatible we are or how spot on that particular flower essence or herbal medicine is for us. So, what's really interesting is we just read chicory as the top one that came up in the Progressive Insights, and it does actually really, really connect with her. So that's a kind of a cool second check on that. So chicory, just run that energy of chicory today. I mean, you couldn't imagine it even filling up even more. That's a pretty good energetic. And chicory opens the doorway to your real home. That's what it's about. It's really I love this book, the Floral Acupuncture book. It's just a great practice, to have an adjunct to have for your practice because you want, and it doesn't have to be just that book, get other books that complement, maybe a book on the chakras or a book on the aura. What you're doing as a practitioner is you're telling that person's story and interpreting it in the best way that you can. So you want other mechanisms in order to do that. All right, so check out the sales that we're having at geniusbiofeedback.com. We'll be back next week. We are trying to put the topics on the website at geniusbiofeedback.com under events. If you go there, you can see that our topic for next week is which is next Tuesday, all about the lymphatic system. So the lymphatics, how the lymphatics work, how to take good care of them, how they're related to your immune system. So we'll talk about lymphatics next week. Thank you everyone for being part of our Genius community. Thank you, Lisa, for volunteering for today. And have a great week, everybody. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye for now.